Hello Gearspace, I'm Łukasz, I'm with Xaoc Devices at Superbooth 22, and we've introduced 5 new modules, and I'll start with the largest one. The largest one is the Sofia. It's an all-analog oscillator with the sound built with 2 ripple components superimposed on a slightly saturated warm bass tone. These 2 ripple components have their own envelope that allows for adjusting the decay of the ripples. They both have the same set of controls. One is for warping, which you can adjust whether the ripples in the wave accelerate or decelerate. You can adjust the ratio, the frequency ratio of the ripple components to the main pitch. You can turn off the tracking so it stays the same. You can turn it on so it follows the pitch. Both sides act similarly. There's an octave switch range that goes from just a few hertz up to something like this. The ratio adjusts the frequency. The damping control sounds kind of like a resonance control on a filter, and the ratio like a frequency control of the filter. You've got 2 mixing controls. One is for mixing the amplitude of the elements, so you can have them both sound at the same amplitude and just adjust it to taste. You also have the control over the mix of the fundamental and the ripple components. So now we were hearing only the slightly flattened sine wave, and now we're introducing the ripple components. It's got multiple outputs. The main output is a mix of the fundamental and the ripple components, but there are also 5 more, 2 outputs, individual outputs for the ripple components. So this is that one, and this is the other one. We also have the fundamental output that outputs a clean sine wave, and 2 outputs for the envelopes that govern the decay of the ripple components. These are influenced by the damping of the ripple components, and everything is under CV control. You've got multiple outputs, which I've already covered. You can self-patch the module and use it for really very interesting sounds. You can, just before the fair, I've had a ton of fun with just the Sofia and a simple 4-step sequence, adjusting, following the pitch, and the module self-patched sounded pretty interesting for me. And it can do vowel sounds, it can do harsh tones, it can do woody, depending on the settings and on the self-modulation. Though I forgot to mention that the 2 ripple components can be either sine-shaped or square-shaped for more harsh tones. Let's move on to the second important module. This is Koszalin. Koszalin is a stereo frequency shifter. It features a stereo input and 2 stereo outputs, one for upshifted signal and one for downshifted signal. The main frequency control works in 3 ranges, up to 50 Hz, up or down. 500 Hertz and 5K. It's got a feedback amount control, so you can do some really crazy stuff. And the density control, which adjusts the delay time of the feedback. It's got 3 feedback modes. One is up when the module works just as labeled. These are upshifted outputs, downshifted outputs. One is down. The outputs, the contents of the outputs is switched. And one is combi, which is the most interesting one. The left channel takes the upshifted signal and sends it through the feedback loop, and the right channel takes the downshifted signal and sends it through the feedback loops. There are some very interesting tricks you can perform it because of the stereo nature of Koszalin. You can say use one of the outputs, upshifted outputs, process the signal externally through anything really, filter, delay, and input it into the right input, and then listen to the downshifted output. So the frequency should go back to the original one that you've sent through the module, but the sound would be very, very different. Another nice thing about Koszalin is that the feedback stops just shy of self-oscillating. So you can ping it and use the feedback amount and feedback density control to adjust the character of the ping. Also, the last thing I have to mention are the 2 FM inputs. One is exponential and one is for linear through zero frequency modulation, so you can modulate the timbre without changing the pitch. Let's go to the third one. The third module is the next is Gera. This is the latest member of the Leibniz subsystem, of our Leibniz subsystem family. Gera works similarly to Lipsk that you see on the right, but Lipsk inverts bits, Gera masks bits, performing the logic AND operation. So you can use it to mute individual bits, or you can use it to quantize the CV signal going through the Leibniz subsystem to say in this setting it will only output 16 states. And the second module for the Leibniz family we're introducing at Superbooth 22 is Potsdam, which is a router. It routes one of 2 Leibniz signals to one of the outputs, and you can switch between them either manually or with a trigger or gate. So now we're hearing the signal from one chain, and now we're hearing a signal from another one, and now we'll see the effect of the clock control, because Potsdam is not only a router but a clock source. It's going down almost to 0 Hertz and up almost to 2 megahertz. You can use it to clock any modules in your system, or any preferably any Leibniz modules in your system. It's got a CV control over the clock rate. It's got the various options for controlling other clocks from the Leibniz subsystem. So all in all, pretty handy module to harness the chaos of the 8-bit Leibniz subsystem. And the The last module is this little utility. Support is a summing mixer, a triple summing mixer for up to 4 stereo sources. We've labeled them mix left and mix right, but you can use them any way you need. With the top and bottom sections normal to the middle one. With the switch in the middle, the sound is muted. To the left, it's attenuated 50%, and to the right, it's 100% what's going on in here. So that's it from us. Hopefully you like the new modules, and most of them should be available pretty shortly. You're welcome to email us with any questions you have. Thanks, Gearspace. Cheers.